Okay, welcome to my tutorial for installing UlnoIoT on a Raspberry Pi and flashing and setting everything up for a Windows system. So we're using Windows 10 here, but it should still work in Windows 8 and Windows 8 on 1, probably on Windows 7 too. So if you want to install UlnoIoT, just Google for it or use Bing or your favorite search engine, and one of the first hits should be the corresponding GitHub page. So you will roll down to the documentation, and if you, of course, will read everything of it, you will stumble upon this where it says if you're impatient and want to dive into it right now, fast forward to installation. So you click on this, and there is all the material you need to get started. So first thing, you want to actually download the Pi image you want to flash onto an SD card. So you click on download, and Google Drive doesn't scan these big files and might actually show you that the bandwidth cap is surpassed here at this point. So if that happens, add this file to your own drive and download it from there. But usually you will be able to just download it from here. So as I provide a checksum, we can check later that this is the original file and that there are no viruses or anything in there. So save this file. So then you need a little bit more. So you will need also the checksum utility. Open this here, and then go to the downloads. I actually take this link here, and then we have to press on download. We just take one of these mirrors, and it should come in a second. There we go. Let's just save that. Then we need Etcher. Save that. Did this download already? Yes, okay. So let's install Etcher. I agree. And so while it is installing, let's also run this utility. This actually might ask you for downloading a Microsoft Net install package, and do that. Then you can run this. So Etcher is installed, very great. And let's now verify this image so that it has the right checksum. So this is running. So we take this checksum. It should be this checksum if you've downloaded the correct thing. Already put this in here and wait until the sh-256 has been done, and then compare the two. So now they are done. Let's verify, and yes, that's the same number. So great. So if that works, and you know that you downloaded the correct image. Okay, we also want to install some nice SSH program for Windows, and this is Mobile Xterm. So take this and click on Get It, and then we want to download the Home Edition. And there are two versions, a portable and installer edition. So you probably want the installer edition. Let's download that one. That's fast. And we take the installer, and we have to actually extract the whole one here. So say extract all, and now we can install it from there. Accept this. Of course, you want to actually read through this here, and install it. And that's it. And so the next step is actually we should use Azure to flash the SD card. So put your SD card reader into your computer, or even the put the SD card into an built-in SD card reader. Then you can select the image, which is under downloads. And it automatically detects that you have an SD card in there, so it needs to be an 8 GB card, at least an 8 GB card with class 10, and then you can flash it. And we have to give access to have low-level access to the drive, and then you can run the flash process. And after this flashing, it will actually do a verification process. So you can skip that, but I highly suggest that you do it to make sure that everything really is on the SD card. You don't want to later figure out that something didn't work when copying it. So also do the verification process. We will accelerate this now and come back to you when the flashing is done. So if you see this here popping up, it just means that there's one partition on there because it's Linux that isn't recognized by Windows, and so don't format this disk. So that would be fatal. So if you see this image with flash complete, then everything worked fine. So make sure to click on cancel here. And now we can actually close this, and so we can actually look that if there's one partition which has been mounted correctly. So to check on this PC, you might have to unplug and plug in the device again. So let's do that. You get again this message, which you should ignore, and you should actually see now one partition, which is the boot. See, there you get the boot partition, and this is the drive it doesn't recognize. But the boot partition we can see in Windows, and we can actually edit. And you have to personalize now this partition, which you can't do with this. So you need a decent editor for that. And let's see what Windows has. So try WordPad, and I hope it actually saves it correctly. So we will make our changes here with WordPad. If you have a decent programming editor, use that. So this is a normal configuration file for the Raspberry Pi, and you can modify this. And if you look down here, we have the possibility to make some specific settings for UlnoIoT. And most interesting is actually that we want to set this up so that we can log in here and find it again. So if you don't put anything there, it will take a random access point. So be aware. So this data is actually for configuring the Raspberry Pi as your own access point. So that is the Wi-Fi name you will later see. So I do here IoT Empire only, and this is the Wi-Fi password. So you only need this password to enter your own Wi-Fi network. So if you're in a university setting, you might actually want to forward another Wi-Fi password. So for this, you have to have another Wi-Fi stick, and you have to plug in the Wi-Fi stick into your Raspberry Pi. Make sure you plug a Wi-Fi stick in there if you want to have access to another network. And so if you're in a university or at home, you definitely have to modify these two here. And this is your personal network. So if you would be, for example, at home, then you put here my home network ID in, and here my home network password. And you would not need to unlock this one. If you are in a university or a company with the enterprise network, you put here the name of the enterprise network, here your personal password, and here your user, and make sure to uncomment this. Yeah, so Wi-Fi user. So we save that and then can go somewhere else. So now you can remove this SD card safely. It's here. So we eject the USB storage. And now you can take the SD card and put it into the Raspberry Pi. We'll do that and boot the Raspberry Pi up. Put it in the Raspberry Pi and boot up. So we have now burned the image correctly to the SD card. And we have made changes on the SD card for our local network and for eventually logging into another network. We have added the here the Wi-Fi stick to the Raspberry Pi and the SD card back in the Raspberry Pi, and we don't need to actually connect the Raspberry Pi now to any screen or so. We can just power it on. So make sure you take a powerful enough power supply for it and plug it in. And now we just need a couple of seconds, about 30 seconds, to come up, and then it should show up in our Wi-Fi networks with the name we set. In my case, this is IoT Empire-Ulno. So let's see. It actually already shows up. So let's connect to this. And as you see now it's actually connected to IoT Empire-Ulno. And so we even have transparent internet, so you can actually see now if you go to a page, you get actually connected. So very well. And now you can connect with the Raspberry Pi. So even if you didn't have internet here, you can, and you are connected to the local Wi-Fi network, you can actually use Mobile Xterm now to connect. And let's recreate this session. Of course, I've done some testing in between. So let's create a new session to connect with it. So we say SSH. In Windows, we should actually give here the IP address. The username will be Pi. And we need some special settings. We should just check here that X11 forwarding is switched on because it allows us to do the clipboard later. We want to see that here we actually take a special terminal setting and one with colors. So go to the one with 256 colors. And the other things should actually not be touched. So that should be everything you need to do. And now you can actually log in to the Pi, and the address will be, the password will be, the default password will be UlnoIoT. UlnoIoT. You could save that if you want to, but you don't have to. And I logged in for a test in between. You see, if something goes wrong and you get disconnected, you can reconnect actually again this way. And if you don't have an internet connection, you can actually run this editor and typing in sudo editor /boot/config.txt. And there's just the same file you edited before in Windows. And you can use the mouse in here. So you see, you can roll down and then edit things if you mistyped something, and to make sure that the connection does work again. So you can quit this here again, and yeah, you can actually use the mouse in here. So you can see I can go here and then select this, do Control C and Control V, and then I have editor up here. So there's transparent clipboard access in between. So if you need some of the documentation there, then you can use this. I also want to mention that you see there's a Control AH here. So if you type, if you hold Control A, then release this and type H, you get a little help here. Again, you see actually this is Termux, so we can actually, for example, take, we can mark this here, and if you do Control if you do Control C, it should have copied that. Let's see if that worked. Yeah, see, and then you get actually, you can follow the other links. So, but keep in mind, so if you do Control AH, you can always go back to a small help here, and this is giving you some nice commands to work with this. So another nice thing is actually the MC, the Midnight Commander. So if you type in MC, you get a file manager, which you can use with the mouse, and you can look at files or edit files, and there you go. So if you have managed this, you are now in the environment, in the UlnoIoT environment, and you're very close to building your first Internet of Things systems. So the Internet of Things is now in your reach, and you will soon control your own Internet of Things. Congratulations.